Welcome to the Vlog.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of TFV, and we are reacting today to Trump's flavor ban. So I have got Dietz here. Welcome, Dietz.
What's up? What's up?
I've got Richardo here.
Good evening.
And the Moe. Welcome, Moe. Nice to have you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. How's it, guys?
So without further ado, let's kick this off. Let's get this going.
Companies that were making these products will be treated unfairly by taking these products off the market?
Well, they've become very rich companies very fast, and the whole thing with vaping is been very profitable. And I want companies. Look, you know that I fight for our companies very hard. That's why I'm fighting with China.
China makes really good concentrates. China Express is from China.
Why is he fighting with China?
That's why I'm fighting with other countries. If you look at European Union, and if you look at Japan, and if you look at so many others, including South Korea, the others, we're constantly dealing with them to make it good for our companies, because I view it as jobs. I view it as income for our country and jobs. Vaping has become a very big business, as I understand it, like a giant business in a very short period of time.
Short period of time, right? Short period of time. So this is important to note down. Short period of time. But I mean, Richard, how long has vaping been around?
Well, how long has it been mainstream? Since 2014?
Yeah, but it's been around since 2009, right? So I mean, it's been like more than a decade now.
Yeah, although I think it was just mainly just early adopters then. I think of the going out and seeing people vaping, in public type of thing, I'd say probably 2013, 2014?
2014, 2013.
Right.
Yeah.
This was originally Chinese created, right?
Yeah. Honlik.
Yeah. It's a Chinese tech. Yeah.
We can't allow people to get sick, and we can't have our youth be so affected. And I'm hearing it, and that's how the First Lady got involved. She's got a son together that is a beautiful young man, and she feels very, very strongly about it. She's seen it. We're both reading it. A lot of people are reading it, but people are dying.
So Melania released a tweet, right? And she was not happy with what's happening in the media from the THC cannabinoid bad cartridge perspective. But she was just saying vaping, right? That's what she was saying.
You were just slamming vaping straight up. There was nothing about THC or counterfeit shitty products.
Yeah.
She was.
Oh, yes, you're right. Yeah, now that you said. So she was just slamming vaping, and he's pretty much just repeating that. So what Tom was saying and the BLCK group is right. This is what he's hearing, and it's coming straight from Melania and the people around him, which is pretty sad.
Dude, I don't think this is only Melania that's pushing this. I mean, it's a very convenient reason to bring in an emotional factor. Oh, the kids, Melania's kids. But I mean, you can take this back to any other issue. Why aren't they worried about other issues that involve other people's kids? Do you have to have the First Lady involved to make noise? Now there's a story because it's the First Lady and there's a kid, so there's an emotional link. This is to me, it just seems like it's a bit too convenient. And I mean, as the President of the United States, do you really think decisions will be based off what the First Lady says? No disrespect to any ladies or any position held in a governmental position. I'm just saying, if you're the president of any country, your decisions are not just made by someone's opinion. It doesn't matter how close you are.
Someone close
But
to you.
how did she even make this decision? Did you just see her kid or her kid's friends just like vaping?
I don't know.
Chucking clouds and jellyfishes.
I don't know what
Jellyfish.
went down.
So, like, like, did she not approach it in a way like, hey, what you guys are doing? Like, what is this vape thing? What is it? You know?
Is
I
anybody?
mean, they could be vaping zero nicotine juices.
No, but
Exactly.
like,
Vaping. Yeah, I mean,
is anybody?
Vaping killing everyone.
Yeah, but is anybody
Yeah.
tweeting at like Melania? Like, is anybody, having a chat with her? You know,
No.
like, what are we? Are we chatting with her?
no, I don't
just
think she'll
salty.
answer our calls.
She's
Yeah.
just salty.
She's just salty because her DIY juice didn't come out right.
Yeah.
You know,
Too
if,
much mental, man.
It happens when you don't dilute FLV rich cinnamon.
Okay, here we go.
the conference that's going to let people know about it, because people are going to watch what we're saying. And parents are going to be a lot tougher with respect to their children. A lot of people think vaping is wonderful, it's great. It's really not.
It's really not.
Okay.
It's really not.
That was a hectic one.
Yeah, this for me.
Smoking. A lot of people think smoking is great. I mean,
Wait, this is.
cigars and
It's really not. It's really.
Dude, he's coming across as really. Look, I'm looking for a nice word, but it's clearly uninformed. I mean,
Yeah.
you are the president of the United
right,
States of America. Surely you would be better informed when you address media worldwide like this. This is what I'm saying. This just all seems
Correct.
way too convenient. He's the president of the United States. The people who found what the actual problem was, the FDA, is the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Do you not think that they would have to report back after 500 people are sick and 7 people die to the president before he addresses the media? I mean, surely someone has already told him that this is the vitamin E
problem.
the oil that's causing this crap. I mean,
But it's
how
really
can
not.
you not be informed? You are the president.
Because this just, for me, this just looks like at this point here, he's not giving me a reason. Like, I'm just, what he's saying is vaping is not good because of, because it's really not. This is.
Dude, he comes across as a sales guy. I mean, I've seen this a lot in business with salespeople. They're selling a product, but a lot of the time they don't know what they're selling. They're selling what they've been told to sell based on the selling points. This is a great product, folks. It's great, folks. What does it do? No, I can't answer that right now, folks.
It's that meme template where the salesman slaps the car and it's like, this is a great car. You know what I mean?
That's one thing I think we can say definitely, Commissioner. It's not a wonderful thing. It's got big problems. We have to find out the extent of the problem.
Yeah, Richard, what are some of the big problems in vaping that we have?
Too much flavor and juice. Too much sweetener. Sorry, I've got to throw some shade there.
Yeah.
No, if I'm honest though, one of the big problems, and let's be self-effacing about this, one of the big problems is that everybody was so busy making money and not thinking about the bigger picture. And they allowed some of these dodgy operators to come in. I mean, I was listening to Wayne's video today, and this whole thing of marijuana and CBD and THC and so on, it's a very technical thing. And there's obviously going to be teething problems. When you unban marijuana and people are now transitioning it to other forms, they're cutting it, they're making distillate from it and so on. Obviously, there's going to be a period of technological change where people are pushing the envelope, not really realizing what's happening, adding stuff that hasn't been fully tested yet. And that's basically what happened here. I mean, the chemist that was on Wayne's show was talking about, the grade of stuff that you need to add to the distillate to cut it, and people are taking shortcuts. They're using cheaper cutting agents. They're not doing their research on stuff. So this was always going to happen, vaping or not. This was always going to happen with marijuana, where people are taking the CBD and THC and putting it into other forms. And that of itself is inherently hazardous. So there's going to be a learning curve where they find out what is safe, what isn't, what are the quality ingredients that we need to use, what is the sort of stuff that we need to test for. And that's now spilled over into vaping. And vaping is taking the rap for something that was essentially a science experiment. You know, it's people who are working legally with marijuana and trying to find their way and making mistakes. And there's no margin of error for that. If you're going to legalize a product, you've got to build in some tolerance for the fact that, you know, mistakes are going to be made. This is what happened with microwave ovens when they first came out. They weren't as safe as they could be. They put them on the market. They did ongoing testing. They refined the microwave technology. They refined the safety features in the ovens. But it needs that little bit of adjustment first before these products can go to market safely. And, you know, it just seems that they've had this hysterical reaction. I mean, it's not a good thing. Obviously it needs to be tackled. But at the same time, you have to realize that this is going to happen when you take a product that's been banned forever, legalize it, and you have all sorts of chemists trying all sorts of different stuff to make their product as powerful and as impactful as possible. Mistakes are going to happen.
Yeah, and as cost effective and as quick to market, you know.
No, look, I don't fully agree with you on that, Richard. This I can use a very same example in juice, vape juice as a general, without any of the additional CBD and THC stuff. Now, I don't think it's you see, in this situation, media is covering vaping is bad and it's THC. So there's now two people taking blame for this, or two parties. Firstly, vaping, and secondly, cannabis, or the cannabis culture. Now, in my opinion, I don't think it's either's fault. This isn't due to vaping. This isn't due to the cannabis culture. What is happening here is the same as if I only took vape juice right now. Now, we all know here in South Africa, there's a big problem with counterfeit vape juice that's being sold at flea markets. Now, we know the flea market juice is what we call, that's like brake fluid and all kinds of junk that's in those flavors. People have become ill because of the stuff that they vape there.
Yeah.
Now, are you going to blame all vape juice because of the flea market quality stuff? No. What's happening with the flea market stuff is these guys are selling international branded juice, which normally sell here for, let's say, 300 Rand. They're selling for 80 bucks, 80 Rand at the flea market. So how can they come in so cheap? The answer is they're using crappy grade material and they're cutting corners with their process. We know they're not all doing this from an ISO standard lab, and this is only with vaping. So the same thing is happening. Cannabis culture is growing. The vaping culture is growing. People have been making concentrates and cannabis in many forms for many years. The same with vaping. Now, with the legalization of cannabis, and as the cannabis culture grew, with medical dispensaries, the cannabis has to be grown with specific measures, and there's specific stuff that needs to be checked and in place. After that, the cannabis needs to be tested. Okay, so this is not just something they put out. The concentrates, the sweets, the cannabis itself, all of this goes through testing, and has, in the same way like we do with vaping, if you are a real decent juice maker, your juice comes through an ISO lab. This is standard. But I mean, people with vaping aren't doing that. And what happened here was people made counterfeit THC pods. So now vaping is involved and cannabis is involved, where the issue here is the counterfeit, the crap material, the shit that they use to cut corners to get the profit. That's what it's about. It's not vaping. It's not the cannabis. It is these idiots cutting corners for the sake of a buck. It's the shit that goes into the counterfeit products. I mean, you know, with counterfeit, there's no quality. There's no quality checks afterwards. There's no testing. There's none of that shit.
So
I mean, if you clone something under someone else's brand, you can sell it as the name. This is what's happening with the flea market juice.
So
you have to look at the real problem. The problem is the counterfeit, and there's no control over counterfeit. So that's the problem, not vaping or cannabis.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that
has he even mentioned it. Has he mentioned something like that, where there were reports of this type of behavior in the black market, where guys are selling counterfeit?
No, they don't
has
mention
he even walked into an ISO lab? Has he walked into an ISO lab to see exactly like how a bottle of juice is made? under strict control and environment. You know, I think this is just the surface that he's touching. And
You know what?
yeah,
He is.
vaping,
And
you know, kill vaping.
to ban flavor because the flavors of vapes is the problem is for me the same as they look at alcohol. Use alcohol. How many people die due to alcohol? Okay, now you're gonna tell me because you're vaping flavors because of death that happened with a counterfeit product. Okay, and they found out, the US FDA found out what the problem was. Okay, so the oil on the vitamin E. Now, you want to tell me they're going to ban all flavors because of that death? Then what about the alcohol and the deaths linked to alcohol? And let's use cigarettes as well. I mean, you have cigarettes with these, you pop a ball for the flavor in the cigarettes these days. So there's flavor in cigarettes, there's flavor in alcohol. These both cause so much more deaths than vaping, I would say,
Exactly.
by a lot.
Exactly.
Now, why don't you ban all flavor in alcohol and say only moonshine's available? Because it's the alcohol that you're after, right? So you're getting only the alcohol. Moonshine. I'm poor from.
Look at
the thing is that
this is so ignorant.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is that I'm very surprised that he didn't approach it in a way where he picked on a thing like nicotine, where he said, you know, he's saying, okay, ban nicotine. You know, he didn't. I don't know if he mentioned it. Maybe you can just play a bit further, but he immediately like targeted flavor of vapes. You know, he could have maybe started
flavors
off
are
with saying,
attractive.
Let's listen to what he says, guys.
Is not attractive. I mean, come on.
Let's move on. Let's check this out. Let's see what he goes with this.
So new. It's so new. But we're going to find out. And I hope that parents that, you know, they have children and the children are a certain age, I hope they're going to be able to make wise decisions, maybe based on what we're saying today. But the commissioner and Alex Azar, they're going to be coming back over the next pretty short period of time, couple of weeks, with some very strong recommendations.
Can you tell us what
This is fear mongering.
This is.
We hope the parents make good decisions. This is dangerous. They don't say anything statistic or proven factually. This is dangerous, and all parents now need to make some choices.
Some choices, and then he said, "Hey, this guy's going to come back with some recommendation." So
you know what's ironic? By the time this press conference was held, they knew what the problem was. The FDA found the issue.
Yeah. Let's see what he says, guys. Richard?
The thing is it a counterfeit issue? It isn't, as far as I know.
I think it...
I mean, people aren't getting sick from cartridges which they think are a particular brand and have been counterfeited to look like that brand. As far as I understand, it's a manufacturing problem. What happened is this manufacturer used this vitamin E acetate, which they thought would be a good thickening agent for the distillate. So it's not like there was brand X and they now made a different, which was safe, and they now made a different process, but counterfeited it as brand X. I mean, to me, it's more like, remember in the early days of vaping, we used silica wicks, and then people realized this stuff is not good. It can lodge in your lungs. So that's when we made the shift across to cotton. And this to me is a similar type of thing, seemingly. I don't know all the details, but the people were putting silica wicks not because they were cutting corners or trying to pirate products or whatever. They did it because they just didn't know. And then more testing came out, and they realized, no guys, the silica is not good. Let's move across to cotton.
Yeah.
So that was like, that was a natural process where people were testing different wicking materials. They used what they thought was going to work, and it didn't. There were health problems. So they then had a next generation of technology and materials that they used, which worked around that problem. Now, listening to Wayne's video today with the chemist, it seems like there are reputable labs which are using all the correct, properly certified, safe stuff, And there are other people that are kind of winging it and trying to find their own way and doing their own chemistry. Now, I think we need to establish, or the FDA needs to establish, was this done maliciously to cut corners?
Mm.
Or is it just people who are new into this whole CBD THC, put their own chemists onto it, came up with stuff that they didn't realize was harmful, similar to early tank manufacturers using silica for wicking, and it's now sort of backfired on them. Was this vitamin E used as a cheap substitute for an already approved product, which the reputable labs are using, or was it just some new thing that somebody thought, oh, well, here's a different way to do this, let's put this on the market? That for me is the key thing, because once we know that, then we can start to identify to what degree malice was a part of this rather than just ignorance.
Jump to conclusion before you. Okay, you were saying, Dietz?
I just wanted to jump back to what Richard just said. And I don't disagree with what you said, Richard. It does make sense. But let's simplify this a little. Let's take our flea market counterfeit vape juice as an example. Let's take out all of the new stuff, the THC and all of the other stuff. Let's say this happened to like what we have, the flea market juice, and let's say in America there's someone doing the same thing at tobacconists or whatever. Now let's say 500 people got sick and 7 people died from flea market juice. Would they still ban all the flavors? I mean, would it be as fair as what they're trying to do now? What I'm saying is, like I mentioned earlier, it's not vaping and it's not the cannabis culture. It's the dodgy shit happening in between. So the same would go for flea market juice. I mean, surely if this happened with a normal vape juice counterfeit that was created with some dodgy shit that no one knows about, the situation would be the same. But still, what I'm saying is, even if there was a death due to this, the ban on flavors and whatever, let's say Trump did exactly this, if that happened because of counterfeit vape juice, it would still not be fair to say that vaping is the problem, because clearly vaping right there is not the problem. People are, I mean, it's proven with vaping at the moment. I mean, look at where we are health-wise from where we were as cigarette smokers. So one bad apple manufacturing with cutting corners to save costs, getting people sick and dying, would we all blame vaping as a whole? Because vaping is now dangerous and killing people.
I would say that if people were dying from flea market juice, there would actually be more call to ban flavors of vaping. This to me is very simple.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, it's not. It wouldn't be fair to say then vaping is the problem. Everyone's dying because of vaping. All vaping. That's the problem. We need to now ban flavors because that's the problem.
I just want to touch on something that you just said, where they're saying, vaping is the problem, and I hope I get this right. You hear in the news about shootings in schools and stuff in the United States. Kids go in and they have headphones on and they're listening to heavy rock music, and then it filters down to things like, these kids are playing Call of Duty, or they're playing these type of games that basically rile them up to go and shoot things. Is rock music the problem? Is playing games the problem? Or is guns the problem? Or what is the problem? So I just wanted to touch on that because it's one of the points.
It's a similar matter, right?
It's very similar. It's very similar.
Yeah. We're looking for, and that's kind of what Richard also said. I want us to carry on. Richard was saying, we need to try and figure out what was the intent. If the intent was if it was greed and you just wanted to make money and you had a good idea or you knew exactly what the right mixture would be for a healthy product, then you are guilty. So what Richard was saying is we need to go through some kind of process like this with the people that are now found, have sold these things, and then determine, hey, who is now the guilty party? And before we now jump to conclusions, right? Let's carry on.
See, yeah, for me, you know, you could look at two situations. If you have flea market vape juice that's causing people to get ill, now it becomes a huge problem, because how do you tell flea market juice from legitimate juice? If there's a loophole where people can put counterfeit juice on the market, now all juice is suspect, because you know, even if you buy legit juice, how do you know it's not counterfeit? In this case, what's happening is people are only getting sick from juice that's had THC added to it. So for me, there's a very simple solution here. What you do is you temporarily disallow THC in juice, because then you're ring fencing it. You're saying, look, vaping juice is not the problem. People are not getting ill from, you know, commercial vape juices. So let's put a moratorium on bringing out THC cartridges until we have this technology sorted out, until we are absolutely sure that we know how to put THC or CBD in vape cartridges without endangering people. Allow vaping juice to carry on, because that's not the problem.
It's like when, you know, when, for instance, somebody burns to death in a car, right? And for zero reasons, and then they do a little bit of investigation, and they found, oh, it's some kind of wiring behind the radio, and it's you know, it was this specific new radio that, you know, the wiring caused it. So then they go and look at the records and say, okay, this from this model, you know, from this car onwards, right, to this year, all these cars must be recalled. You know, if you've got, you know, a car that you're driving that's in this year, then you need to bring it in. And if that car's on the showroom, you know, it needs to be checked. So it's something similar to that, you know, so you kind of ring fence it, the problem. That's, I think, what I'm getting.
Okay, but I agree with that. I do, to a certain extent. But I mean, this is now just throwing the other option under the bus for the sake of the one to survive. I'm not pro anything, but what I'm saying is, then if you want to fence it, then go and say THC cartridge technology is completely banned. But THC in all its other forms is safe, medicinally and proven as per your dispensaries. But I mean, they're not picking the bad apples. They're cutting the tree down right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is
why I say, you know,
instead of blaming all the parties and then saying, no, it's vaping, it's not. It's the THC cartridges because of the technology of the way they extract the THC. Yeah. It's not THC, it's not cannabis, it's not
vaping
forms, it's not vaping, it's not PG, it's not VG, it's not the flavorings. Make a clear picture. Don't just blast the media. This is dangerous, folks, and you parents have to now decide. That's fear-mongering.
It's not that great.
That's skullduggery.
But then it's not even a case that you have to ban THC cartridges. What you do is you just put a moratorium on them. You say, look, for a year, we're not going to allow these things on the market. We're going to investigate the technology. We're going to find out what's safe. Once we know what's safe, people who bring out THC cartridges will need to be licensed and registered and regulated to ensure that they are doing what's safe. So you leave everything else. You know, it's like when the Samsung Note 7 phones started burning or exploding. They didn't ban cell phones. They didn't even ban all Samsung phones. Samsung recalled the Note, fixed the problem, and put them out again. That's what you do. You find the particular product that's causing the problem. You withdraw that product from the market, you fix it, and then you re-release it. But again, what's happening here is that they're using this as a pretext for a wider thing that they've been wanting to do.
Of course.
A premeditated thing, yeah, for sure.
It's way too convenient. This is what I'm saying. It's just too convenient.
But the other thing...
Let's carry on watching, guys. Yeah.
No, the other thing that we have to factor in as well, you know, people are saying, oh, but how many people die of cigarettes and how many people die of alcohol and so on. That's fair enough, but the problem is that the risks with these things are known. it's not like there's a new thing in cigarettes or a new thing in alcohol where suddenly people are having 2 beers and falling down dead. If that happened, there would be the same reaction here. They know the risks of alcohol, that if you drink excessively for X number of years, you could get cirrhosis or whatever like that. There's nothing new in that. Alcohol hasn't suddenly become more toxic than it was before. Whereas with this now, we've had no vaping deaths. Now suddenly there's 5 or whatever it is. So that's obviously going to cause an overreaction because this is now a new hazard that wasn't known about before.
Okay, let's carry on.
It'll take several weeks for us to put out the final guidance that would announce all the parameters around the enforcement policy. And then there will likely be about a 30-day delayed effective date, as is customary with FDA's good guidance practices. And at that point, all flavored e-cigarettes other than tobacco flavor would have to be removed from the market.
This is absolute nonsense. Okay.
Again,
This is nonsense. This is the
flavor is attractive.
Flavor.
Then a bottle of cookies and cream liqueur is just as attractive to kids. This is hypocritical and it's just wrong. This is bullshit.
Okay, let's carry on. We all agree that this is bullshit, right? This part right here.
This is bullshit.
It's the agenda they've been following for a long. San Francisco started it with banning menthol and banning flavored vapes. Then New Jersey wanted to follow suit, and then Michigan followed suit. They all want to do it, and this is just the perfect pretext to get it done.
To get it done, yeah.
It's as logical as saying, oh, look, there was a shooting at an American school, so let's ban pickup trucks. Because the guy who did the shooting drove a pickup truck. So,
they generally drive these pickup trucks. Yeah.
So let's ban pickup trucks.
Okay.
Tobacco-flavored e-cigarettes, their manufacturers would by May 2020 have to file for approval by FDA of their products. The other flavored product manufacturers can, at any time, also file, but they would be off the market until approved by FDA. The Obama administration...
Okay, so there's a thing there, right? So, before we get too emotional about this, it sucks, right? So what he's saying there is tobacco flavors remain, okay? Everything else will be off the market. And then in 2020, at some point in time, these companies with the tobacco flavors will have to have gone through the PMTA or applied for the PMTA through the PMTA process, right? So they'll look through their paperwork and make sure that it's safe, these products. And at the same point, people can reapply that have fruity flavors or whatever at that point, and they'll be considered. This is what I'm getting.
I missed that part.
So when he says people, these are the major companies like your Capella, Flavora, those type of guys.
No. This is the manufacturers of
the manufacturers. Okay.
Okay, let's carry on.
Had allowed these products to go onto the market in an unregulated way by delaying any enforcement in the hopes that people who are using combustible tobacco would transition to a less harmful form of nicotine delivery through e-cigarettes.
Yeah, that was correct. That was correct. Yeah.
The only correct part right there.
It just shows the kids are getting access to these products in spite of our best efforts at enforcement, at retail enforcement, at controlling locations, at over 8,000 warning letters to retailers and others, in spite of moving products off shelves. They've been going at it, so we simply have to remove these attractive flavored products from the marketplace until they secure FDA approval if they can.
I just want to vomit in my mouth right now. You know what I mean? Like this part that he talks about specifically over here, I don't think is correct, and he doesn't back it up with any factual information as well. He's just saying stuff, right? I've listened to a lot of these reports in while they're in cabinet and talking about it, kind of thing, and they come forward with actual numbers. What I would like to see here, in comparison, is how many kids end up dying, from smoking cigarettes. You know what I mean? Because
The problem with that is it's a disease that they will die of probably later in their life. It's not something that'll kill right now, because that's one of the known things about tobacco.
The other thing is, what flavor do these THC cartridges come in?
yeah, I
don't know.
I don't know, but
was-
some of them are flavored, right?
Yeah.
Only some of them.
I don't know. I mean, I would think all of them would be flavored. If I don't know. I actually don't know what the products. I mean, how many flavors or whatever they have of this. But
Let me put it another way. If I'm manufacturing THC cartridges and I bring them out in a tobacco flavor, am I off the market, or am I still in the market?
I would say you're on the market, because they just
You're on the market. They approve tobacco, bro.
So
vitamin E oil as long as it's tobacco flavor.
now where's the logic in that? That you allow the thing that's killing people because it's the flavor that you approve.
That's it right there.
This is Moe. Don't you think Richard is thinking like an Indian businessman over here?
Yeah, he definitely is.
His big brain.
Yeah.
Well, it's so obvious to me that if people want to get around this ban, the THC manufacturers, they're going to keep using the vitamin E acetate. They're going to keep making people ill, but they'll just make a tobacco flavor.
They just make a tobacco
That's
flavor.
it.
Yeah.
Kentucky flavor kill juice. Good. You're good to go. It's Kentucky. It's a tobacco.
Yeah. Or Cardinal Buffia. We're gonna make liters of that stuff.
Let's carry on, guys.
I'm not looking at anything. Iran is a different country than it was 2.5 years ago. 2.5 years ago, they were given a lot of money by President Obama previous to that.
This is where he goes on about President Obama and Obamacare. He likes to throw the Obamacare under his presidential bus in almost all his press conferences. But this goes into their other politics.
It goes into the other politics. So we're done now.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think
so we're done.
I think he's done with vaping. Yeah. He's signed it. It's gone.
This was just such a good scapegoat for them, man. I mean, this was definitely a nail in the coffin. This is so easy for them to use this fearmonger media, telling them this vaping is dangerous. Your kids are gonna die. You parents must make a choice now. Yes, son, have a box of John Rothmans, fucking whatever you spoke.
The problem is, I don't even think that they understand the difference.
They don't. Yeah.
No.
But
Well,
how?
hopefully his commissioner is going to do some research and actually educate himself further before he makes any decisions.
Yeah.
Look, they wanted, even in Gottlieb's time, they wanted flavors off the market. So the commissioner is going to, even if he knows the problem is in flavors, he's going to pursue that. But the problem is with the general public. I mean, if you've never vaped before, all these things, THC cartridges, flavors, it's all confusing stuff. You're not going to know where the dividing line is. The distinction between a commercial vape juice and a THC cartridge is not going to be known to you. It's just stuff that you put in an electronic cigarette. So it's all the same. There's no distinction between the stuff, and that's what's not
so confusing.
coming.
Yeah.
It's not coming through here. So the public aren't getting all the facts. I mean, I've had non-vaping people say to me, "Oh yeah, that stuff's killing you," and I've said to them, I don't vape THC. I've never vaped THC. It's a completely different product. It's like saying that mineral water is the same as whiskey because it's a liquid and it ends up in your stomach. So it's the same product. It's just.
But you don't even have to use THC. I mean, look at the whole diacetyl debacle. I mean, I still have people telling me you're going to get popcorn lung and your vape is going to explode when you take a drag. I mean, the people who are the people walking around preaching you're going to die, that's the people watching the media headlines. And the media headlines are just saying, vaping kills, boom, everyone's going to die. This,
You know what
this,
you
this
must
is
do?
the problem. People aren't informing themselves. Look, if I can say anything, it would be just do a bit of research for yourself. Read a few different articles. Don't just suck in what you see on TV. Just think for yourself. Don't be like that president. I mean, you would at least think that the president of such a country as the United States of America would be a bit more informed. He's coming across as
Quite
a
ignorant.
football.
Yeah, quite
And
ignorant.
ignorant. I mean,
But
it's sad. I mean, it's America, and everyone in the world knows America, man. I mean, he's just making everyone look dumb.
Mm.
He's,
you know,
but
you know
this
what
is
you must
because
do.
of the agenda. It's easy.
You know what you must do though is if you go to a party and you know there are going to be people there that are going to confront you about popcorn, love, you actually take some popcorn with you. You go in the kitchen, you fill your mouth with popcorn, then you come out and they say, "That's just going to popcorn, love," and you say, "Oh, cock, man, and popcorn's fine." Out of your mouth. I'm the same.
Yeah, guys, you know, for me here, this is a pretty emotional thing, you know what I mean, to see what the guys are going through, waking up with this information. So, you know, but demonizing vaping, like
No.
Richard is saying here, this is fear mongering, and it's obviously, like Richard is also saying, there's an agenda here. This is what we're sensing. This is my opinion anyway. There's something, and the facts, you know, don't matter. The facts don't matter, you know.
Dude, the first thing he mentions is how big a business vaping is. Now think, if an amount of money went to the massive new vaping business, where was that money previously placed? And that's the first thing he goes into his business as a businessman. I mean, come on, dude. The first point is vaping is dangerous, or it's a big business, very big business. There's the key. It's a big business that took money from another business, and this is what's going on right now.
But again, how do they categorize vaping? I can tell you how all these guys think of vaping. They see Juul, they see $10 billion valuation, and that to them is vaping. Every vaping company is worth $10 billion because Juul is the only company I've heard of that's a vape. They don't think of the thousands of mom and pop businesses, you know, the single operators like Wayne or whoever, you know, that's just making a small juice line, not making millions every year. To them, it's just Juul. That's vaping.
The problem is this is all really taking away what vaping does add to society. I mean, there is definitely, with all of this crap now, you can't really deal with the real problem. And the real problem is, I mean, it's obvious that teens are getting addicted to Juul. But I mean, that's a nicotine addiction problem that should be, I mean, addressed, as they have been doing with more and more steps.
Yeah, but you know, the problem is not, it's the same with the shootings, right? We're trying to look for things, and we're blaming things like video games and you know, bullying and whatever. Yeah, those things are contributors, right? So, you know, we need to try and find the actual problem, and the problem here is broken society. Yeah, it's like you know, we're not well, right? This is unfortunately what's happening, according to me.
This comes up in these school shooting things. You know, people, it's guns. But it's not just guns, because Americans have had guns forever. In the 1960s and 1970s, people weren't going around shooting up schools. This is a modern phenomenon.
Problem, yeah.
Yeah, and then you look as well at the things like the suicide rates in the US. It's skyrocketing. Drug overdose deaths are skyrocketing. People aren't getting married anymore. They're not having kids anymore. You know, these are indicative of deeper societal problems, where if you just look at the, you know, at the direct cause and the symptom, you're not going to get the full picture. Now, they need to do more than just control guns or do more than just control nicotine. They've got to
banning
look at
flavors. Yeah, fuck my life.
They've got to look. They've got to look at the mindset that is causing these things to take hold.
Why are our teens doing this? Why do our teens feel the need that they need to do this? You know what I mean?
Well,
Exactly.
Yeah.
you look at this whole thing of the wage gap. You know, for years, women were complaining, we're only earning 77 cents to the dollar for men. We need to get equal pay, this, and this. Fine. They then give them equal pay. Now, marriage rates are way down in the US. So they do a study on it. And women are saying, I can't find a guy who can support me.
Mm.
You're earning the same salary.
Mm.
You can't have it that you're earning the same salary, but the man must earn more so that he can support you. You know, that falls away. Once you have equality, that falls away.
Mm.
And this is the thing, whatever happens, it's the system that's to blame. First, the system was to blame because of the wage gap. Now the system is to blame because there isn't a wage gap and because, you know, women can't find marryable men because they're not earning enough.
It's not being corrected. Everything is being overcorrected to the opposite extreme. And this is the problem. This is the problem with inequality, with racism, with sexism, with all of that. It was wrong. How do we fix it? We make it wrong in the opposite way. I mean, nothing is getting fixed because of the broken way of how everything is being taken on. That's the real problem. People should look at it from a base humanity point of view.
Yeah, I
People
mean,
need to
I
change.
think we're so obsessed with money and you know, capitalism. I'm not saying I've got the solution for it, but you know, that this is like a problem that's running beyond us. You know what I mean? There's a much deeper problem here. You know, and banning flavors is not going to sort this out. This is just a smoke and mirrors, my man. This is what it feels like for me. I was really upset about it, but I'm glad I had this conversation with you guys to get your opinions on this. So I feel a little bit better now.
Doesn't it feel like you're witnessing your best friend being framed? Like, and you know your friend's innocent, but you're seeing all of this go down.
Oh man, I can tell you,
man.
I can tell you, I felt like crying this morning. Like for zero, you know, it's the weirdest thing. Like I've never felt like this for something, you know, that you know that I truly care for. That doesn't. It's not a thing that's alive. You know what I mean? That's what the community and the society, vaping society, is. And just to see that there's people taking advantage of this thing that once was just this most beautiful and, you know, innocent thing is just so awful, right? Now we've got Trump involved, just saying stuff. You know what I mean? Just literally just saying stuff, not backing it up with facts. Just outright generalizing.
No research, nothing.
Nothing. Just
he wants to do tornadoes. He doesn't even know in which direction a storm is heading at his own country. And this is the guy everyone's following and listening to.
Yeah.
But this is the problem with politics. Everything is a popular position. But politicians don't lead anymore; they follow.
Yeah.
What they do is they look on Twitter what people are saying. If people on Twitter don't like cell phones, politicians come out, oh, we must do something about cell phones. If people on Twitter don't like, you know, fatty foods, oh, we must do something about fatty foods. There's no politician who's sitting looking at the problem and saying, look, even if it's unpopular, let me point people in the direction where my principles point me. What they're doing is they're following the masses, getting their views from the masses and saying it so that they can, you know, so they're not
benefit. Yeah.
Well, they're not challenging people. They're going with the flow. So what's happening is that the loudest and most uninformed people in society are setting the tone.
That's the problem.
Yeah, it is the problem.
Such a problem, man.
Okay, guys. I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching.
Cool.
So yeah, guys, please, if you feel like we feel, tell us what your story is down below. We would like to hear what your opinions are. This is just for people's opinions, of course. I'd love to read the comments. So guys, please leave those comments below. Nothing we said in here is factually, you know, what we're saying is 100% correct. We want to hear from you guys. So please leave those comments below. So yeah, in that breath, I'm going to say goodbye. Cheers, guys. Thanks so much for watching.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Have a good evening.
Welcome to the thefogvlog.